Hello everyone and welcome back to another tutorial. This is Christina from Pixie Drops Digital Backdrops, and I thought because Easter was coming up it might be fun to do an Easter themed backdrop for this composite. This is a really popular backdrop. It's so easy to use and you can use it for your little sitters. I haven't tried to put a newborn in there, but it works perfectly with a sitting subject. So I went back through some of my old files and I found this image of this sweet little lady. She's so happy and adorable. So I thought the color tones really work, and I thought she might look just so perfect in that backdrop. The reason why I look for similar color tones is the color casting that's going to happen, just because that's the way photography goes. As you can see down here, I've used a purple backdrop and I have a bit of purple casting on her foot and a bit on her dress, and there's a bit of purple here as well. So if this were, say, green, you'd see some green tones, and that just wouldn't work for this particular composite. You can change that if you like. I have shown that in some of my other videos where I'll actually take and change this backdrop color to match the backdrop that I'm trying to put it into, and that will help with that color casting. But we don't have that problem today, so not to worry about it. The next thing to look for is the direction of light, and that's the first thing to do with any composite. So we've got a top and left light direction here, as you can see the catch light in her eye there, and you can also see that from the shadow that's falling on this side of her body. And we're wanting to match that up with the light direction in this image. Excuse me. And the light direction here is also from top and left, and I know that from the way that the shadows are falling off these little eggs and the shadow that's falling here. So we have matching light direction. That's very important for a believable composite. And so let's start with this little lady, and we're going to go ahead and use the quick selection tool and select around. I want to make sure this hair is in there, because that's also a bit of a giveaway when you're doing a composite. If you have that sort of helmet style hair, you can tell that it's been worked on in Photoshop. So if we can get some of these little stray hairs when we do the composite, that'll work great. And so I'm going to hit the Alt key to remove some of this selection. And I think that looks pretty good there. So, oh, I'm missing her little toe. The toe is actually not going to show up in this composite, but I grabbed it anyways. So we're going to go to Select and Mask, and then we're going to refine our selection. And I'm going to grab my pen tool to draw around here just to refine the edge, so I do get those little hairs. And that little highlight there. And as some of you may know, if you used the quick selection tool, you can sometimes get a little bit funky results. And the good thing is we're going to export this to a new layer with a layer mask. So if there's anything that Photoshop didn't pick up that we wanted, we can always add it back. Alright, that's looking pretty good there, so I'm going to click OK. And there we have our new layer with a layer mask. I'm going to pick her up and put her right into this backdrop. Control T to size. She's such a happy little kiddo. It makes me smile doing this composite. So we want her to look like she's sitting right in there. So there's this leading edge here that I want to kind of hide her arm behind. Not too much, but a little bit so that the viewer feels like she was actually in this prop. So that looks like a pretty good size. And I'm going to click OK. And then here we are. Here's the layer mask. And I'm going to go ahead and grab the brush tool. Use the X key for the black brush. I'm going to use the Z key to zoom in. And I'm going to hit the B again for brush. Left bracket to turn down the size of the brush. And I want to follow this edge here and I want to find that egg. I'll find where it is. You can always turn the opacity down too if you like, and then you can see exactly where that egg is. It's probably a better plan, so why don't we go back and we'll do that. To the transform, and then we're going to turn the opacity down, and then I can follow the edge of the egg. And we just want to reveal that prop in front of her. I'm using my brush at 100% and turn down the size a little bit. I think I'm going to put the opacity down quite a bit here so I can find the edge of this egg. And because we're using layer masks, if you mask off too much, that's no big deal. You just go back in and add it back. Voila, Photoshop magic. Okay, I'm going to turn the opacity up so we can see how we did there. That's looking pretty good. A little bit of mess here, but no big deal. And we want to remove all of this. So I'm just going to turn my brush size up, make this a little faster. And remove what we don't want. And voila, in very short order, we have put her into this prop. Now it's time to add a few refinements, and I think what I'll do here is I'm going to add a little bit of shadowing where there would be shadows if she were actually in this prop. And there's a few ways to go about this, but I'm going to do this with the burn tool. So I'm going to go into her layer and I'm going to grab my burn tool and I'm going to turn this brush size down, and I'm just where the light would fall where the shadow would fall from having the light top and left, it would be a little bit along here on her layer. And then we would see a bit of shadow in here. And maybe a tiny bit in here from the edge of this egg. And we would definitely see quite a bit of shadow here because the light would be coming this way. So there's lots and lots of different ways to add shadowing in Photoshop. This is the way that I've chosen on this particular image. So I'll just click back, no shadows, shadows. Just makes it a little bit more believable. Also, if she were actually sitting in this prop, and because the light would be coming from top and left, she would be casting a shadow here. So I'm going to go down to the background layer, pardon me, and I'm going to turn down this brush, and I'm just going to paint with the burn right in here, because it wouldn't be quite so bright if she were actually in there. And then I'm going to turn the brush right up and add just a little bit off of her elbow. And then I'm going to come back over, and she would be causing a bit of shadowing in the back area of this egg as well, so I'll just darken that down a little bit. Not too much, just a little bit. A little bit goes a long way. Back to her layer, I'm just going to add a little bit more on this hand. And I'm going to zoom right in so I can see how we've done on our layer mask here. And I can see a few little parts that I'm not thrilled about, so I'm just going to remove those back to the black brush, and a nice small brush to remove that. Remove what I don't like. And this is her diaper, actually. Okay, we have a little bit too much there. That's all right. We're going to remove that. Oops. We're going to take this out. All right, Zed to zoom back out again. I'm always zooming in and out to see how things are looking. As you can see, and this happens often when you're doing the quick selection tool, there's a little line left from the selection, and so just make sure to get rid of that one. It can be easy to miss, so just swipe across and there we go. And so the next thing that I would do here, I'm just going to flatten this image down and layer. Oh, we don't actually have to flatten it. Let me just go to an adjustment layer here, and we're going to adjust the levels, and I'm going to leave it unclipped so that it's going to affect both layers here. Oops, I'm in the levels, and here's our shadows and our midtones and our highlights. Just give it a little extra pop. So here it is without, it's a little bit flat, and here we go add, and just with that levels layer. We can also add a curves layer if we like. And again, I'm going to pull the shadows down a little bit and increase the highlights a bit, just for a little bit more contrast. And again, that's going to be like a flavor to taste. It's really up to you and what you like. And we could also add a color balance layer if we like. Do we want it a little bit more red or yellow? I don't. I like it with a little bit more red there. Just warm it up a little bit. And I might add another layer for the hue and just come up into the purples a little bit. Again, this is all really up to you, but here we are without any adjustments, and then our levels adjustment, our curves adjustment, color balance, and our hue and saturation. I actually don't like the change that made, so I'm going to put that in the trash. I'm really quite happy with this final image, and I hope you are too. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to ask. Have yourself a fantastic day.